State as it is. Femi Ojo is my name, and this is Morning Spring, where we look at the headlines from our major dailies and then, very importantly, talk about the issues in the public space, and it's geared towards having a nation that we are proud of. Globally, we must be a nation that everyone should reckon with, not the one that that has been, in some quarters a pushover. No, we can do a lot more better nationally in our national lives and even locally as well. That is why we're here, and this is why we always show up every morning, so that you make your opinions and decisions, informed opinions, by the way, based on what we talk about here, setting the right narrative about the growth of our nation, speaking to critical stakeholders, policymakers, and everybody that matters, starting with you. That's why we are here. Thank you for joining us again. And of course, the lady is here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm all right, and you?
Very well. I'm okay. I'm good.
I can see. Thank God it's Friday.
Yes, it is. Thank God it's Friday.
Good morning, dearest viewers. It's Uzoms Okechukwu again, and thank God it's Friday, and we're having the Friday edition of Morning Spring here on Western Spring Television. We give you the news as it is, so stay back and enjoy the show.
Right, that is exactly what we will roll out right now. Before we go to the papers, yesterday was a day of events.
Right.
Politically, a day of history as far as this nation is concerned.
Yeah.
Especially what happened in Abuja, where almost everyone that matters, politically speaking, former leaders, current leaders were there. The big guns were all seated in a room yesterday. I think the only, it was at the IBB's book launch. Yeah. And, endowment fund for his library, by the way. And IBB's former head of state, Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, who wrote a memoir, his autobiography, which since yesterday people have been having an opinion on it as well, for the person of IBB stature and place in Nigeria's history, and the role he played, what happened under his watch, before his watch, as he came by, and looking through the review, if you watch the program, the review of the book done by the always erudite Yemi Oshibajo, you will know that it's something that people possibly will have to read if they want to, but based on history. I think it's not a matter of marketing and advertisement, but because if you want to get things right as far as your history is concerned. And by the way, starting with, you can't just, I'm not talking about politics now, but love the persona, the courage, the expression, the delivery of a Yemi Oshibajo, looking through what he did yesterday there, excuse me, this man is a professor of law, not really of arts or, but he's a good orator. So he did a very fantastic job yesterday there. But then you can't expect less.
Yeah, some persons actually say that law and history are not far-fetched. Yeah. Because, like you said, the book is a historic book.
That's history there.
It's something that schools, I'm sure, secondary schools will start putting it into their curriculum.
Can they afford it?
Well,
I don't know the price, but it will be very expensive.
I know it would be very expensive, but at the same time, it's for education. I think the former head of state would actually be inclined sort of to want the younger generation to learn more about.
By the way, the fund that were realized from there is for the purpose of a library. So it's still part of education.
So it's going to be good, because I remember when my secondary school days, history books, oh my goodness, they're tiring, but it actually goes a long way to develop your sense of knowledge and then help you to know better. Right. Sometimes it's boring, but at that younger level, at that younger age, you see it as boring.
It was boring, right? Then, but now you know
that it's very important and it's necessary for everyone to actually get a little bit of everything around us. I mean, they usually say it's good to know a little about a lot.
Everything.
Yeah.
And everything about something.
And everything about something.
I call the book A Journey in Service, a memoir, a personal memoir, you know. But then yesterday, seeing those men there, you know, almost everybody alive, except President Muhammadu Buhari. Was the only one conspicuously absent, but he sent a representative, by the way. But then you expect people to put 2 and 2 together. That, okay, maybe. But then the reason was given that he had a commitment, you know, that he has agreed to before, you know, possibly the invitation got to him and all of those things. For people, some persons, you expect them to say, oh, maybe Buhari wouldn't show up.
Nigerians because, definitely.
You know, one of those things, it's a lot, actually. Because of the part IBB played in the overthrow of Muhammadu Buhari. In fact, he took over. It was IBB who took over from a coup, you know, via a coup rather.
Right.
From them. But there are many of them yesterday who were sworn enemy at some time, were seated in that hall as well. And you could see, but then we look into that because of the program.
Yeah.
Finally, the big takeaway so far was the admittance of wrong, you know, and the public pronouncement that IBB made. It was in that book, but he read that part of that book at that event to say, truly, the election of 1993, you know, had the winner very clearly, and that was Mashood Kashimawo Olawale, popularly known as MK Wabiola, that he was the winner at that election. But then Nigerians will say that is the president that Nigeria never had, you know, because of the annulment of that election. And that was the man who was in charge was IBB yesterday. And 32 years after, he finally admitted that this man won that election, even when everybody has known. In fact, they call it a nearly perfect election, you know, at that time. But then, you know, many things on a day like that, people will talk about the person involved and how he has been a great person and all of those things. You know, many persons are beginning to say, excuse me, IBB, the kind of adjectives that was used in that place yesterday, the description of a great man, somebody who meant well for the country, who did this and that. And, you know what happened after that annulment. Some of us, you know, were privileged enough to know what was happening at that time. I didn't vote at that time. I was a bit younger, but I knew what happened at that point. I knew the riot that followed that annulment, and in which it took many persons' life. Not just about the annulment. When Sani Abacha now came into power, the gulag, you know, was the in thing at that time, and it was everybody keep quiet. You don't dare talk, you know, when the general is talking. And how many of them who are, you know, pushing for democracy, because the language used by IBB was, I'm stepping aside. Many persons remember, he didn't say he was leaving or he's handing over. He said he has stepped aside. And he tried to step in severally, actually. So that was what happened. But he tried politically to come back. But then, as they say, history didn't have that. So we have a lot to really talk about. But before we go to the papers, a drama, needless drama, happened at the Senate yesterday. You know, between Natasha Akpoti and the Senate President. And we learned it was due to allocation of seats. Okay, move here. You can't sit there, and all of those things. And the kind of words that was now thrown around. Many persons are taking position, especially women, to say, oh, we will never agree. This is this. You talk to women anyhow. Although the Senate President has that history of talking to anybody. I'm not sure it's a woman thing. He has used funny words, and you know the way he handles things. But obviously, it was possibly felt disrespected yesterday, and he had to order that Natasha be thrown out of that place.
And she wasn't even having it. Even when the security
went off,
she got up and she was talking. I was like, wow. Like it seemed like she had been bottling a lot, and she saw an avenue.
And I'm not afraid of you.
You're always trying to, since you got into power, you're trying to silence my voice. I will let you know. I said, oh my goodness. It seemed like she had an article written about that, and she was just offloading it.
She's somebody who has an opinion of the Senate president, you know, and he voiced it to say, this is who you are. You always try to voice. The lady was trying to raise a point of order. The Senate president overruled it, although he has the power to overrule. He has the power to tell the workers in the house to suspend your microphone or mute it, rather. I think that's the right word. Because it's the chairman of the National Assembly, he's the president of that Senate. But then many persons will say you don't wield that power, even though you have it that way, to say your fellow senator should be thrown out of the house because you are the Senate president. He has the power to do that.
And suspended. And
suspended as well, because he felt the lady was being rude.
Yes.
He was talking to the Senate. She was talking to the Senate president in that manner. You were told to keep quiet. You didn't keep quiet. Even while your colleagues tried to rein in, she wanted to hear that opinion. That even if she will go out, give you a piece of mind. And that was what happened yesterday. But some of those dramas
I'm not afraid of you. I was like,
are needless, actually. And that's just one of the things that happened at the National Assembly yesterday. You know, the funny thing is, the business of the day, whatever they have done in that National Assembly yesterday didn't make the news. It was that drama, that less than 10 minutes drama that made the news. And, you know, it will just overshadow anyone.
It's usually like that. Negative things tend to take a larger toll on the people than the positive part of it. You know,
for people that know who Natasha is, she's one fearless individual.
Who it shows.
Very vocal. You know, how she got into that Senate, the battle with Mr. Bello, the former governor. Yahya Bello, the governor, and everything that happened, you will know. The issue with Senate president is one of those things for her. But if it is needless, is what Nigerians are talking about. Maybe the seat is something you can have easily. You shouldn't really cause a problem. But then if somebody who wants to feel, I know what you are doing, do whatever you want to do. I'm ready for you today. But then
the truth is, there's always an underlying problem, because
obviously
a little thing like that can't just cause you to start saying such
ranting
things,
and venting, and to the extent that the man to say throw her out. I think my own issue is the language you used on your. She is your colleague. The only thing is you have an office higher than her, and they are the ones who voted. Either she voted for you to be president or not is another thing.
It's another thing.
You are voted the same way she was voted, only that you have a higher office, being the chairman. That's exactly what happened. So but then
throw her out.
Maybe Natasha could have handled the situation better, and the Senate president himself. We'll go on this break right now. There is a lot to really talk about. We will be back. Stay with us. All right, now the newspapers are in, and we'll let you in on that. Let me start from the Daily Trust. The Daily Trust newspaper, boldly written, June 12, I take responsibility. IBB, I take responsibility. And you have, lots and lots of talking point from that, but there are many persons who were there yesterday, and there is a quote attributed to people who know him. Some call him the Maradona, if you know who Maradona was, an Argentine talent man, a World Cup winner who dribbles, who can dribble the entire field, and it was of that dribbling activity or ability of his, a football player, that IBB was later called Maradona, because of the way he was dribbling the entire country by, announcing a date, shifting it, announcing a date, shifting it again. Now, I would later find out that the forces led by General Sani Abacha, this is still from the papers, June 12, I take responsibility, IBB. I would later find out that the forces led by General Sani Abacha annulled the elections. There and then, I knew I was caught between a devil and a deep blue sea. That's from the former military president. And this is attributed to former President Obasanjo. you have written a book. It is Babangida's story. The book will be read, quoted, and criticized. Some will agree with you in part, others will disagree, and some may even reject it entirely. Ex-President Obasanjo. I think if you read in between the lines, there is an opinion there for IBB already.
Of course.
And that
when I read about what he said, I just knew what he was talking about. But
you already know.
Of course. Okay. That's to me.
That's a clairvoyant zooms there. But the first line says it all. You have written a book. It is Babangida's story. Meaning, this is your story.
Right. That is your own story.
Yeah. And by the way, he has written it 428 pages or so. And below that, you have the picture. Even the street, they'll call it Mendem. They are the Mendem.
I'm telling you, Mendem Mount.
Yeah, I don't know the mountain part. The president, Bola Tinubu, there, and the celebrant, and then the author, Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, there, the Eboro himself, Olusegun Obasanjo, Yakubu Gowon, former head of state, and then Goodluck Billy, Jonathan, all of these persons have their own history already, as far as this country is concerned, who played what role in the emergence of some of them sitting at this table, and the role played by the removal from power of some of them sitting at this table as well. Whatever, in fact, a larger chunk of whatever you are going to read in the last 40, 50 years, they were all seated on this same table yesterday, as far as the history of Nigeria is concerned. Now, below that, Naira depreciates.
Okay,
but let me take that again. Naira appreciates to 1,505 Naira to $1 as CBN retains interest rates. Naira appreciates to 1,505 Naira per dollar as CBN retains interest rates. And below that, I think that's a good news, so that we just don't before, because if the Naira has depreciated and is flying off, people like us, people watching us, we complain as well. But if there is progress being made, albeit being small, we have to say that. And we hope these will be. Now imagine the Naira is gaining, it gains 4 Naira, 2 Naira every day, every week. In the next 6 months, maybe it might have it at 1,000 Naira, so and it will help things. Although the racketeers of people who does round tripping will be angry, actually. But then I think it will be better for the majority.
The whole Forex people.
Of the people, especially importation and exportation. Now, Fabio and Natasha clash again. And that is it. This is not that yesterday wasn't the first time. They had a go at each other. Just like you said, something has always been there between these two.
Her face is a difficult one to forget. So the minute I saw her, I knew. I was like, oh, this fair, beautiful lady again.
Right. Now, 2 jailed for stealing lawyer's phone. My people will say, a bad situation that elicits laugh. Oroburuku tonteri, because Oroburuku means a bad situation, so a situation that is very bad. That's 2 people stealing. Now, they now stole a lawyer's phone. People will say you have a mind to steal a lawyer's phone.
Really?
A lawyer, the law. We use the law to
finish you.
To do whatever he or she has to do. 2 jailed for stealing lawyer's phone, actually. And one might say, maybe it's not just about the phone. Maybe they've done something else with our phone. Because sometimes when your phone is missing, it's not just about the disappearance.
Yes.
It's about the nefarious activities
carried out.
Some of these criminals get to do with our phone, tampering with your bank app, your bank statement, getting in charge of your social media accounts, and they begin to solicit funds, or
sending unnecessary messages.
Just because, and these are some of the issues as well. Now, but then it's quite a bizarre situation. Nobody should steal, but then you wanted to steal. You went and steal a lawyer's phone. The law. All right. Now, 2 Nigerians awarded 50,000 euros Commonwealth Peace Prize. That's good news. 2 Nigerians awarded 50,000 euro Commonwealth Peace Prize. I think this is kind of news that we want to see, especially about Nigerians. Not some funny characters running around other people's countries and portraying themselves
arrested for
for drug, for courtesan, for breaking an entry, for one killing the other and all of those things. No, when you see that 2 Nigerians have been awarded 50,000 euros for Commonwealth Peace Prize, we salute them actually.
Well, that is plenty money.
They are the real guys. You're interested in the money part, but I'm more interested in the prestige part.
I'm interested in both. Actually,
have done well
it's
for
a
themselves.
good, it's a good thing. They've done well for themselves, for the country at large.
Yeah,
and also the money. Most persons would say that when you're trying to encourage someone, back it up with money. There was this guy that said graduated best student at some time, and he was given 5,000 naira. So when Nigerians came out, they were trolling and the whole thing.
But it's a good one to see that Nigerians are doing exceptionally well.
Of course.
Because I'm sure these 2 individuals are not the only persons who possibly made the entry into this category. Many of them around the world. And more than 198 nations of the world, at least. Now for you to have emerged as winners in this category, that counts for something. And you talked about the issues of people doing well in their universities or in their departments, and they are given, very funny kind of money. We had a guest here who said maybe the laws, governing universities have to be reviewed because some of those things are stipulated there. If you understand, I think it was Professor Tunji Ogunyemi who said you can't give above that as a university, because some of those laws were made long ago.
Yes, when
and
5,000
they gave the money there.
Exactly.
When that kind of money add value.
Not now.
So you can't give above that, and that is the law that is still governing that same university. So if a university wants to be serious with that particular presentation of award, then that means the law governing a university, that particular university, have to be reviewed to reflect what we have right now.
Which brings
that's what really happened.
Yeah, which brings us back to the economy, saying that things that are supposed to benefit the ordinary citizens, our leaders are not eager to work
but in this
towards
case,
it.
It's not the fault of the political leaders. It's the fault of the university.
I'm very sure
Senate.
they would have reviewed. It's the fault of you. If the university they can't just work around it. It has to go through the right.
They have to make the presentation.
Exactly. Yeah. Now they've reviewed different things: the Senate salaries, the commissions, all the leave allowances, and all the rest. Good. So what is stopping them from reviewing this? You keep hearing ASU is going on strike, ASU this, ASU that, because of the remuneration and all the rest. So we should actually look into some of this.
I totally understand your point, but I'm saying the universities themselves should take a step. They are the ones that will talk about it or make the presentation to whoever is in charge, either the permanent secretary and then possibly an executive bill or a particular rep superintending the constituency where that place is located has to just do something. But we must get serious. I agree with you, actually. Because when somebody has graduated as the overall best student, and at the end of 4 years or 5 years, he or she has been given 10,000 naira, as the best student, and everybody takes picture, with it, it can be annoying.
We also say that, okay, maybe truly it falls back on our universities, because in those days, fees were not as high as it is right now.
You understand what I'm saying?
But the fees have been increased, and then things
has been abnormal. The university senate, the university management, the board of trustees, of that university or every tertiary institutions, they know what to do. That's what I'm saying. And that's on period. That's the fact. So that they don't appear like bunch of jokers every time. Now, top strip. No evidence. USAID funds Boko Haram. That's coming from the US ambassador. No evidence. USAID funds Boko Haram. Now, these are two things. No evidence that they funded it or they didn't fund it. Because it's one thing to say we didn't do it.
We didn't do it.
It's another thing to say there is no evidence saying that we did it. But then that builds on Nigerian government, to go further on the matter. Niger Convention. I take that again. Niger Convention recommends 5-year transition for Chani. Chani is the head of state there. Niger Convention recommends 5-year transition for Chani. And you know what happens when military take over. They tell you in the next 6 months, in the next 1 year. Now we learn there is a convention in Niger who has given the head of state there now 5 years for him to prepare for transition. What kind of transition are you preparing for in 5 years? He has been there now almost a year, and now possibly has 4 more years by the convention, because before the end of that 5 years, there might be another convention. Say it will take another 3 years. And this is, it speaks to leaders when they want to just sit tight. They now become, you know, most freedom fighters all over the world, if care is not taken, they usually become what they fought.
Yeah.
Most freedom fighters, because power gets into their head. And you know what they say about power? It corrupts. An absolute power corrupts.
It intoxicates a lot.
Yeah. And finally, federal government asks a delegate to halt Ocean local government election. Many persons are confused as to the status of the election stated for tomorrow. But the state government, that's Ocean State Government, OCF, Ocean State Independent Electoral Commissioner, said, as of yesterday, the election is going on. But the AGF was said to have said that this is the position according to the information available to us. Right. But then we allow them to handle their business. Yes. That will be all from the Daily Trust for today.
And we move straight to the Nigerian Tribune. We have MKO won June 12 election. Abacha annulled it, IBB says. MKO won June 12 election. Abacha annulled it, IBB says. And the writers there we have, without Babangida, I wouldn't have joined politics, Tinubu. Okay. Dangote, Rabiu, Danjuma, Authorize, others donate over 16 billion naira for IBB Presidential Library. Okay. Okay. Like when I was reading the stories, when I was going through the stories yesterday, and I was seeing money flying left, right, and side. Left, right, and let me talk like ordinary Nigerians. See, that's money they fly. I'm like, really? Money in this country?
Of course, there is money in every country. It depends on.
I've not been to other countries, but you see, this is my own country. There is money in this country.
And you know, are the persons that you have ruled out? They are billionaires. Really? They are established billionaires that people know before. So
yeah.
And what? Although some of them is not like they brought the cash there. At least Dangote said he learned that the building of that IBB library will take 4 years.
Yes,
and so he promised 2 years. I mean, 2 billion every year.
Every year.
That makes 8 billion. And he said, perhaps if the project drags beyond 4 years, every year that it will take, it will be dropping 2 billion naira. And so these are, you know, when you have the money, spend it for the good cause. But is there money?
Money was flying.
Okay.
Make money the right way, please.
Okay.
Make money the right way.
Okay.
Now we have a picture there of that you're okay. We have a picture there of world leaders. You can see from left, we have former President Goodluck Jonathan, former head of state Yakubu Gowon, President Bola Tinubu, former head of state Ibrahim Babangida, and former President Olusegun Obasanjo at the IBB book launch entitled A Journey in Service, held in Abuja on Thursday. Okay. Yeah. Men that, or how am I going to put it? Men that made Nigeria happy, or men that when you want to talk about Nigeria, you must mention them. At least, you know, when I saw the picture yesterday, when I saw IBB's picture yesterday, I was like, okay. I was trying to, you know, get the face. Well, I'm very conversant with Obasanjo's face, yeah, because I grew up knowing him. I didn't meet Babangida, obviously. So I was trying to, you know, get used to the face. But Obasanjo was like, I knew Obasanjo at least my primary school days. Right.
You know, I said it the other time, those men, you know, they are the history makers.
Right.
When you want to talk about Nigeria in the last 40, 50 years, those are the persons that were there. Everything you read in our history, those are the guys. Some of them that are still alive that are there.
Imagine the kind of
in the
information
70s, one was there,
you can get from these people when you get close to them. The kind of information you're going to reel out. Imagine if I were to be his granddaughter, great granddaughter.
And maybe that's why most of them have been told to put some of those
put it down.
happenings in a book.
Yeah,
so that even while they are long gone, people can know a lot. That. And if any of them is there who has read this book or who will read it, and he has a counter fact, just like Obasanjo has posited, then the person should come out as well and dispel or confirm or deny whatever portion in that particular book. And that's what history does for you.
Yeah. Moving on, we have Natasha in another shouting match with Akpabio. Okay. This is a match now. Another shouting match. NUT slams federal government over 12-year basic education proposal. Okay. It seemed like NUT just got to know about it because this story came up like 2 weeks back. And okay. We have the writer that we have threatened strike in states yet to implement new minimum wage for teachers. Very necessary. Senate. We have Senate observes minute silence for late Adebanjo, asks federal government to immortalize him. Right. Yeah. It was really necessary, and we celebrate. Oh. We reach out to, we condone with the family, even though it was, even though it is a celebration of life. So we have a picture there. We have celebrant Ambassador Dr. Olatokunbo Owolowo Donsumi with the vicar of Our Savior's Anglican Church. Pardon me, please.
Yeah.
With the leader of Our Savior's Anglican Church, Ikene Venerable S.O. Enike. Okay. It's all about the Anglican Church, and move forward. We have you are a product of God's grace at 77. Cleric tells Awolowo Donsumu. Okay. Federal government terminates Oyo Obomosho road contract. Okay. Federal government terminates Oyo Obomosho road contract, and the rider that we have to flag off Ojo Iwo Road section of Lagos Ibadan Highway. Okay, terminating one and flagging off another. Okay. PC Akande misrepresented me in his comment on death of Bola Ige. Okay. PC Akande misrepresented me in his comment on death of Bola Ige. We have Brigadier General Uluwole Rotimi. And the top strip of the Nigerian Tribune this morning, we have CBN retains 27.50% interest rate, maintains monetary policy parameters. CBN retains 27.50% rate, maintains monetary policy parameters. Okay. And that will be all on the Nigerian Tribune this morning.
All right. From the Nigerian Tribune, we move to the Guardian newspaper. All right. And it has, especially so, on its front page, 32 years later, IBB admits Abiola won June 12, 1993 election, regrets annulment. 32 years later, IBB admits Abiola won June 12, 1993 election, regrets annulment. And of course, the picture you see there, the battle of the ones that have been flying around, that has to do with the event. The president, current president, with former head of state, all of them were at that table. Civilian president like Olu Jonathan, and Olusegun Obasanjo, who was formerly head of state as well, and of course former military leaders. The celebrant himself, the author, IBB, Yakubu Gowon, who we learned got married at 32. That's what we're saying about you being the leader of tomorrow.
Right.
Those were when the guys, were taking that power. Imagine being head of state at 32. Now, sometimes in some instances, as we have currently now, we have some 32-year-olds who are still, in school, actually dabbling with the Nigerian situation, the Nigerian system, and that for a fault that is not theirs, actually.
Yeah.
But then 30, in fact, he was an head of state as a bachelor. He got married while he was there. So he spoke to how the youth, held the future in their hands at those days. One would say under different circumstances, by the way, but many of the leaders that we now refer to as fathers of democracy, actually, even the Obafemi Awolowo of these wars, in Nnamdi Azikiwe of these wars, they were grouped. They went for, what truly matters within that age, in their 30s, early 30s and mid 30s.
Yeah.
And, they shook the country. We hope we can get to that part. One would say the leaders now might not give you that particular chance, but then I think the youth need a rethink, actually, to really, I keep talking about grouping the right way, irrespective of who is from A, who is from B, and who worship this way or who worship that way, that the leaders of now usually use to divide the people. We must do better as the young people with technology right now.
Yeah, with technology, right? But I think it's the one of the greatest challenge we have in this country. The ethnicity, the religious background, and everything.
Right.
It gives people this thought that this person is not okay. This person is not from my tribe. He's not my brother. So I'm voting according to tribe. This is my brother. Yeah, so
divisive methods.
Right, and our leaders are using this to actually have a hold on the citizens. Most persons, it's very sad that most persons have not realized that they're using this against us.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That complaint has been there for long, and I think everybody should be tired of that. The thing is, what is to do next?
Yes,
and we should do better because now we have more information. Baby has released a book in which people can read and learn from as well, so that's not to repeat the mistakes of the past. They don't have the AIs that we have right now. They don't have the level of technology that we have right now.
At all.
They are not as, informed as we can be right now. So we should do better, irrespective of where you come from. Now, moving on. Below that, you have Aliko Dangote, Jimovia, and of course, another person there at a function. Now, NEC seeks action against malnutrition, sidesteps tax bill, state police, others. NEC seeks action against malnutrition, sidesteps tax bill, state police, others. You have the picture of the vice president, who is the chairman of the National Economic Council there. And below that, you have federal government tells our delegate to suspend Osun local government election. In fact, means the AGF, when he speaks, people will take it to be the federal government speaking, advising the president. That was what he used in that particular release that has, is flying around right now.
Yeah.
To say, after he has said some things, and according to the information made available to him, he gave his opinion on the matter and advised that the election slated for tomorrow be postponed, or be suspended rather, not just postponed. Now, population growth will spike petrol demand by 93 billion liters. Other ones. Population growth will spike petrol demand by 93 billion liters. Other ones. All right. And below that, Okpebolo scores administration's high after 100 days in office. Okpebolo scores administration high after 100 days in office. As they say, like play, he spent 3 months, at least 100 days, and the man has scored himself high. Praise yourself if people don't go praise you. That's what they usually say. So he has scored himself high. Right. He has looked around, probably he has seen that he has done well, but I'd say that he should allow his people, those that are living with him in the same state, to actually say for themselves. Say our governor is doing great. Okay, it's all right. Now, Lagos warns motorists against fake VINs. Concealed number plates. Against Lagos warns motorists against fake VINs and concealed number plate. People go around covering their number plates. The VIPs, the ordinary persons, quote unquote, ordinary persons don't cover, plates. But most of the times you see the so-called VIPs, people in power, celebrities,
right?
All of these persons, entertainers, and they're the ones who cover their. So I'm not sure the people who are concerned need this particular one. But then it is what it is to say. Don't conceal your number plates again. Okay, and I think Lagos State government should start with its cabinet members. They're the ones who do that. Not just because it's Lagos, it's the people in power that covers. Yeah. Although Mr. President or state governors don't really cover their plate numbers, because what you have there is the coat of arm.
Yeah. That's why I was wondering.
But then numbers in there are vehicles in their convoy.
Yeah,
that have
numbers.
Covered plate numbers. So their charity should start from home, or possibly they should categorize the group of people that can cover and the ones that cannot cover, and back it up with relevant laws. Because if you just categorize and say, oh, these persons can cover, the rest of it cannot cover, people will ask you and say, on what ground is that happening? If it's a provision of the law, let's have it the way they usually say. All right. And Rowdy Senate as member protest seat reassignment. Rowdy Senate as member protest seat reassignment. Okay, and I know you already know what we're talking about. Now, US says USAID not sponsoring Boko Haram, vows to target terrorists across Africa. US, that's the United States, says USAID not sponsoring Boko Haram, vows to target terrorists across Africa. In fact, we have been speaking about this now. There have been information about this for the past 7-10 days.
Right.
And one would say we should have an investigative body working on this already.
We
don't need the US ambassador in Nigeria to just tell us either that's a lie or it's not a lie. You can only say it's truth, and you cannot expect him to throw his country under the bus. He's representing the US here.
Of course.
And I'm not sure he will stand tall and say, yes, we did it. So that's his own truth. Let's have it that way. But then enough. We should be having that already.
That's what I'm saying.
I think it was mentioned at the National Assembly. We should start working on it already.
Is a lot already. We've been having this back and forth coming up. USAID is not this. USAID is this. There should be an investigation running already. Not this talk of we're always seeing it on the papers. USAID, right. USAID. There should be an investigation.
All right, and that will be all from the front page of The Guardian for today.
And straight to the punch, we have Knox as IBB regrets annulling MKO Abiola's victory in 1993. Knox as IBB regrets annulling MKO Abiola's victory in 1993. On the writer there we have Afeni Ferre, author said Babangida's comments belated. Okay. We have Economist 1 CBN as MPC retains 27.5% interest rate. Economist 1 CBN as MPC retains 27.5% interest rates. And the story we heard already this morning, we have Naira rises to 1,494.3 Naira per dollar at official market. Okay, at official market. Tension as Natasha tackles Senate president over seat relocation. We've talked about this already. We can actually overflog this case. Kidnapper Evans, now prison teacher, willing to forfeit 14 trucks. Oh, really? Prison teacher. Okay. Some of these people, sometimes they tend to put up good character. It's a good thing if it's actually changed for good, but sometimes they tend to put up good character just to be released. And when they come out, they regroup in a stronger form. So, but we are hoping that this actually is...
The place is called Correctional Facility, Correctional Center.
Really?
You know, yeah, for a reason. It was changed from being a prison to a correctional. So, at least on paper and by policy, it's supposed to be a place of reformation.
Yeah.
A place of being sober. A place of, you know, you getting what you deserve, so to speak. But even while you are being punished, you are still getting corrected. If that, and everybody deserves a second chance, but if, because there are some level of criminality that it will be insensitive, actually, for you to now be judged, being reformed, and then you can go. Imagine being the offenses against him, being kidnapping and all of those things, the pain you have caused people. In fact, it was reported in the case of Evans that he collected $1 million from somebody who was kidnapped at some point in dollars, you know. And we have been talking about Evans' case now for years, so it's not just about now.
It's not just now.
While at that time, and sometimes some of these kidnappers will collect the ransom and still kill the abductee in their vein. So when you are now arrested and you are kept there, and now you're saying you are reformed, but then, you know, it is what it is.
It is what it is. And we just hope it's a permanent stuff and he remains the way he is.
Because and many persons are waiting that case be rounded up. Be rounded off at the end of the day. Let's just know what is happening at the end of the day. If you are doing this, do that, because that's dragged
for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay. We have AGF wants Adeleke against local government poll. IG dismisses governor's allegations. 2027, no automatic tickets for OB, OT, LP insists. 2027, no automatic tickets for OB, OT, LP insists. Okay, we'll see what's going to happen by 2027. Ex-police chiefs fault federal government's 55 billion naira security contract for Turkish firm. Ex-police chiefs fault federal government's 55 billion naira security contract for Turkish firm. Presidential panels gulp 21 billion naira in 7 years. Okay. Presidential panels gulp 21 billion naira in 7 years. 13.7 trillion naira Federation account revenue withheld by NNPCL, FAC reports. 13.7 trillion naira Federation account revenue withheld by NNPCL, FAC report. You know, this brings me to a story I saw yesterday about a fire that went off at one of the NNPCL ports in Akukutoru, that's River State, Bonny Island there. And they said the crew members had not been found. This happened on Wednesday night. And from the chief there present that people were speaking to, said they were yet to hear from NNPCL and the crew members that were working. He said there were people working at the refinery there that they were yet to be seen.
Right.
So it probably they were, I don't even know what to say, because it's water, number one, and then there is fire. So where do you want to even go from there? And this explosion just happens, and they would have probably been thrown somewhere unconscious, and then you're unconscious, you're not on land, you're in water. My heart goes out.
We can only wish them well. You know, this is a case of hoping against hope.
Right.
But then until their bodies or is found, and we hope alive, even when we don't know how, we just hope. But then one can conclude. That is why investigations must be thorough and the search must continue. Actually, you sometimes can never say never.
Yeah,
but then
never say never.
To the natural eye, you feel it's a sad case, but then nobody should be left there, except everything that needs to be done has been done. Everything possible. These are some of the hazard of the job, especially when you are working offshore. Yeah. Actually, these are some of the issues. People say the money, but then the risk is so high.
Yeah, the risk is so high.
So that was my heart and thoughts of the families of those that don't have a closure. They don't know what to believe. They don't know what to expect. They're just hoping for an information.
Well, that will be all on The Punch this morning. I just saw that news. I just saw that report about NNPCL, and I just remembered that news I saw yesterday. And it was really sad. I mean, people that went out to work to look for daily bread, and somehow they are
life
trapped.
Happens. Yeah.
Life happens.
That will be all from the newspaper segment. There is actually a lot to really talk about, actually, and based on their memoir, the book, it's not just about the book, it's about what the book, contains, the compendium of history as far as is written by the author, Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida. The head of state in 1985 to 1993, that was when he held sway. Many things happened under the regime, and he has tried to put it in writing, but many persons will keep their opinion on the matter. Either history, or either is an attempt to rewrite history, either it's the truth or half-truth. People have their opinion. I will get to talk about this because it's about the history of this great nation for Nigeria. Stay with us.